Morning Consult recently did a public approval poll in all 50 states. And it was public approval polling in all 50 states about the governors of all 50 states. And this generated a bunch of local headlines, state headlines that you'd expect. Most of those headlines were about, like, the relative standing of the most and least popular governors in the country. And for governors who are up for re-election, this Morning Consult polling helped various local publications get a handle on whether that governor's approval rating was going up or going down with voters as they, head toward trying to hold on to their seat next year. That kind of local interest and state interest stuff. Here's my interest, though. Look at this stuff overall. However interested you might be in who's slightly more or less popular among the governors, there is one big overarching story here, which is that all of the governors are popular. All of them in all 50 states. There is not a single governor in any state in the country right now who has a higher disapproval than approval rating. Not a single governor in the entire country is underwater. They're all more positively viewed by their constituents than they are negatively viewed. And again, you can maybe tell a story of local interest about any one governor who finds himself or herself in that position. But when it's all 50 governors who are in that position, that's a bigger story. That's a national story hiding in plain sight, which is that Americans, broadly, are not that unhappy with how things are being run right now. And yes, you ask people about national political figures and national political institutions, and Americans say, like, basically, broadly, Americans say, oh yeah, I hate them. I hate the Congress, I hate the Supreme Court, I don't like the president. And honestly, Americans, unless they're kind of culty about it, they don't really like any of the other presidential candidates who want to run against the president either. So if you ask about, like, how things are going governance-wise nationally, people are like, oh, I'm sure that things are absolutely terrible. But if you ask Americans about something that doesn't really have national political conversation around it, if you ask, hey, how are things actually running government-wise as you see it, more or less the answer in every state in the country is, yeah, things are okay. Everybody's pretty happy. Everybody's at least more happy than not. In all 50 states. Every single governor in the country is above water. And if you put a political science lens on that, so that you stop trying to parse that in terms of the individual performance of each of those 50 governors, if you put a political science lens on that, I mean, it basically means if you strip away nationalized partisan political combat and nationalized partisan tribalism, the fundamentals in the country, as viewed by the American people, are pretty good. And the fundamentals are almost always about the economy. So yeah, you look at that chart of every governor in America being above water. Maybe what that has something to do with is the beating all expectations economic growth, and personal income rising, and inflation flattening out, and an infrastructure surge, and record job growth, and the lowest sustained unemployment we have had in decades. And no one apparently wants to credit Joe Biden and the Biden administration for that. So they credit their governor. They credit the governor in each of the 50 states. But that's okay. We can read. We know basic political science. We also know basic polling, where if the country really was over President Joe Biden and really wanted him out of there and everybody was really ready for somebody new, then the opposing party, Republicans, would be falling all over themselves to ride that train, right? To become one of the immensely popular candidates ready to take on this unpopular president, Joe Biden, who everybody agrees is doing such a bad job, right? That is not what's happening.